DeSantis. This guy is making it very clear how much of a totalitarian. He hasn't identified himself fully yet as an American Nazi. I think that will come. But as far as the totalitarian, where it concerns what he considers governance, here's an example. There was a Hillsborough County Circuit Judge, Jared Smith, and he was tossed out of his judgeship on his ass in August by the voters after his bullshit ruling in an abortion case. And this judge became a target of criticism from advocates for a woman's right to privacy after an appeals court overturned his decision in a case in a 17-year-old girl who wanted to get a judicial waiver to obtain an abortion without her parents' consent. And this judge, in his incredible wisdom, concluded that this 17-year-old did not demonstrate the maturity, intelligence, and what he called other qualities necessary to make the decision. So a 3-judge panel of the appeals court in a 2-1 ruling said he was full of shit, overturned his ruling, and said he had abused his judicial discretion. Now, when he came up for re-election, judicial races are supposed to be nonpartisan. Don't laugh. Don't snicker. But the race between this creep and the person who beat him, a Tampa attorney named Nancy Jacobs, the race between the two of them had with it this feeling of partisanship. People who believe in a woman's right to make these kinds of critical decisions about their own reproductive organs, those people backed Attorney Jacobs, who is a criminal defense and family law attorney. And Smith is, now please tell me you won't be surprised when I tell you, he is an avowed, in-your-face evangelical Christian. Right? And he became the target of even more criticism when a video surfaced of his wife, just like Uncle Clarence, his old lady, the bitch Ginny Thomas, his wife, the evangelical Christian judge's wife, speaking about Tampa attorney Nancy Jacobs at a rally in a local church. And in this video, Suzette Smith, who is the judge's wife, said that Nancy Jacobs, who, surprise, surprise, is Jewish, that Nancy Jacobs, quote, needs Jesus, end quote, among other shitty comments from this Christian crazy woman. Nancy Jacobs needs Jesus because Jesus is, Jesus, of course, was a Jew, but don't tell Suzette Smith that. And I don't think that Jesus ever said a fucking word about the gay men who were among the 12 that followed him around, right? So when Suzette said that sparked comments or accusations of anti-Semitism. Well, I would think so. Saying to a Jew, you need Jesus. Or saying that about a Jew, you need Jesus because you're all fucked up. And when Nancy Jacobs heard about this, she said that the comments were troubling. And then Suzette, now there's a point to this story, so stay with me here. Suzette, the judge's wife, posted a message to her husband's campaign Facebook page denying anti-Semitism. Oh, whatever gave you that idea? And she said, why, my husband has Jewish relatives. Doesn't that sound familiar? My husband, well, his nephew, Ralphie, we tried to get him to marry a nice Christian girl, but he married a Jew, a Jewess. That's usually what they mean when they say, we have Jewish relatives. So does Donald Trump. Oh, God damn. Oh, and Suzette added that Mr. Judge Smith respects the Jewish people. Of course you do. So Nancy Jacobs defeated this asshole 52 to 48% in the election. And it is, it's rare for a judge to lose re-election unless that judge has really done some evil shit. And it's apparent that this judge and his Suzette are anti-Semites and don't like women having the right to make decisions about their own bodies. Huh? So what's the kicker here? Let me just quote from the Miami Herald. Shortly after his loss, Judge Smith applied through a judicial nominating commission to be on the new appeals court. The state legislature created the new 6th District Court of Appeals in June. It's based in Polk County. It'll include 9 judges who will hear appeals from the trial courts in 10 counties in central and southwest Florida, but not in Hillsborough County, which is where this asshole used to sit. Smith was one of 33 applicants and 18 finalists. And Governor Ron DeSantis appointed Smith to fill one of the 3 vacancies at this newly created 6th District Court of Appeals. So he goes from being a county circuit judge to being a judge on a newly contrived Court of Appeals, thanks to the anti-Semite, racist pig, Ron DeSantis. Now, before Smith's selection was announced, a Democrat, State Representative Geraldine Thompson, filed a challenge in the Florida Supreme Court. She claimed that Smith and 3 other nominees were ineligible to serve on the Lakeland-based court, the new one being formed, because they don't live within the boundaries of this new district. Oh, that doesn't matter. So the Florida Supreme Court more or less told her to take her legal briefs and get the hell out of their presence. They rejected her arguments. So a news release from Governor DeSantis' office announcing this Smith appointment states that he's a resident of Lakeland. Now, he has lived, while he was a judge in Hillsborough County, in Lutz, which is just a suburb of Atlanta, just north of Atlanta, Lutz, Florida. Now, somebody's full of shit here, right? And I don't think it is Miss Jacobs. I don't think it is the Democratic member of the Florida legislature who filed this appeal to the Supreme Court to say, hey, wait a minute. Now, Smith was appointed as a Hillsborough County judge by another Christian nutfuck, Rick Scott. Remember him? Who used to be governor of Florida in 2017. And then DeSantis elevated this Christian demon to the circuit court level in 2019, and now DeSantis has put him on the appeals court. And, of course, these are lifetime appointments, unless you get voted out of office, I guess. Now, before becoming a judge, Mr. Smith was a partner in a law firm in Tampa, Rumberger, Kirk, and Caldwell. Also, he was a captain in the Air Force. Woohoo! And he got his law degree from one of the most famous law schools in America, Washburn University. What the fuck? Washburn? Where is that? What is that? Washburn University. And he holds a bachelor's degree, he claims, from another well-known university, Fort Hays State University. Washburn. Fort Hays. Where'd you go to school? Fort Hays. Where'd you get your law degree? Washburn. So I just thought you might be interested in just one more example of how this shit works. And this is what Rachel Maddow is talking about in her series, not about this, but in her series Ultra, about the Nazism that was prevalent in this country in the 30s, and how its death camp claws were embedded in just about every single institution in this country. So now you have scum like Ron DeSantis and scum like Rick Scott. And I could go on, but you know who these people are. And then Tucker Carlson referring to Zelensky, who's standing up against the kind of totalitarianism that Tucker Carlson apparently celebrates and wants to live under. And okay, why don't you get the fuck out of this country, Tucker Carlson, you rat? Why don't you just leave, you anti-Semitic racist pig? Oh, Mike, now you're name calling. Mm-hmm. I am indeed. I am indeed. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.